talking about the police here.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. If everybody could please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before I ask if there is any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda, I'd like to note for record that our road superintendent, JP Neff, is excused for the meeting. He has an event with his daughter, and President John Sabo is on vacation. Is there any deletions, corrections, or additions to the agenda?
To add number 6 to fire for Joe Snyder.
Okay.
I'm just going to put our concerns of trustees. Again, telephone pole signage, Western Reserve Land Conservancy. Just 2 points.
Okay. Any other? Seeing none, I'd like to start the agenda. We will start with unfinished business number 1, and that will be Mr. Steinberg.
Thank you. Item number 1 is a resolution to amend Resolution 23-401 to read to enter into the attached contracts with TSC Entertainment for concerts at the amphitheater in an amount not to exceed $19,000 to be taken from Fund 1000110-500-000.
So moved.
Second, discussion?
I think just to let the record, Rob, you were saying before the meeting, we've raised $35,000 already in sponsorship for events, so.
Right on
These
34.
performances are covering themselves, so at no expense to the public nor our taxpayer funds being expended to secure entertainment.
We're working on it.
And it's excellent. I've had a lot of questions, people asking the cost of tickets, so we do need to reiterate out there that it is free for people to attend these events.
As long as the sponsorship.
Sponsorship, yes. And we're doing pretty good on that. All right, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes. All right, that takes us to number 2, the road levy. That will be Ms. Campbell.
Thank you. You see before you a resolution to determine to proceed with the submission of the question of the replacement tax with an increase of 0.5 mils.
Excellent. I will make the motion.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, this is a repeat of the last meeting. We had to make a correction in the years, so that's why you're seeing it again this evening.
Okay. I see an error on here that says number 7. Is that from last week? The last meeting? It said unfinished. It said fire 7.
Actually, I think all that TSE contract. that's
Yeah, is
still
that
under
all the
first.
leftover from the first one?
Yeah,
I think
that's
so,
just,
'cause
it's
it
just
takes a little
reiterating.
bit to, because if you go to page,
Verify we're not skipping anything.
because I was just scrolling through all
Yeah.
of it, where,
Excellent.
say,
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes. That will take us over to the fiscal officer, Mr. Wolf.
Thank you. Fiscal Officer number 1 is a resolution to authorize payment of pending warrants in an amount of $583,055.63.
So moved.
Second, discussion?
Just clarify, most of the large part of this expense is due to the amphitheater payment, so,
Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 2 is a resolution to authorize payment of regular payroll in an amount not to exceed $250,000.
So moved.
Second, discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 3 is a resolution to authorize payment for the following medical claims.
So moved.
Second, discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 4 is a liquor license request from Sandy Tammy LLC located at 2630 Easton Street, Canton, Ohio, 44721.
Right, there's no
issues?
This is that new bourbon room is what it is,
Nice.
which actually should be, I think, opening in another week or two, from what I was told.
That'll be a great addition. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Wolf.
Well, actually, that one just moves up, or, sorry,
No, I was saying go ahead to number 5.
sorry.
Fiscal Officer number 5 is a resolution to set a public hearing for the 2024 alternative tax budget on August 9th, 2023 at 6 p.m. and to further authorize the Plain Township Fiscal Officer to publish a notice of public hearing in the repository at least 10 days prior to the hearing.
So moved.
Second, discussion?
And just to note, that meeting will be at the Central Fire Station.
Can I? He said August 8th. Isn't that meeting on, or August 9th? Isn't that meeting on August 8th?
It is August 8th.
Okay.
That's voting day. I think we moved it.
We moved it to the 9th.
No, we moved to Central Fire.
Oh,
Oh, that's right, on the 8th. Yep.
Okay, it's the 8th.
So
Okay.
make a motion to move on fiscal officer
Amend.
number 5 with the date amended to August 8th, 2023, 6 p.m. at Central Fire Station located off of Schneider.
Excellent catch, Mr. Steinberg. Roll call?
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 6 is a resolution to authorize the following transfer of funds.
So moved.
Second, discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
And that concludes the Fiscal Officer report.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. That takes us over to the administrator, Ms. Campbell.
Thank you. Item number 1 is a resolution to purchase batteries from Motorola Solutions not to exceed $5,083.20 from Fund 74000.
So moved.
Second, discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 2 is a resolution to authorize payment to Hamilton and Associates Limited for engineering services at the newly acquired property on Easton Street Northeast.
So moved.
Second, discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Item number 3 is a resolution to authorize purchase and payment to Sarshone Lincoln Ford of Alliance in the amount of $49,995 for a sheriff's vehicle.
So moved.
Second, discussion?
To clarify, I know we said we've needed more than one. Is it locked down just to being able to only buy one at this time?
It is
or-
because state term pricing does not come out till September, but they're opening the Ford pricing in the next couple weeks, which is under the bid amount, but I can't purchase more than one because it's under 75,000. It doesn't get us to 2, and I don't have state term pricing till September. And by September, those vehicles will probably be gone.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
I just
we're
wanted
at the
to.
one.
I just knew
Yeah.
we talked about multiple units before, given the current fleets.
That would be great.
Okay, roll call?
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Item number 4 is a resolution to adopt the amended Plain Township Handbook.
So moved.
Second, discussion?
Just some changes. There were a couple typos. I had to fix the parks uniform allowance and then put in information about the state auditor's fraud hotline.
Thank you for doing that. Much appreciated. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
And item number 5 is a resolution to enter into the 2023-2024 agreement for police services.
So moved.
Second, discussion?
Just want to reiterate, I mean, I know the sheriff's office has worked hard, just given negotiations and so forth out there to get back, but I'm still a firm believer that hands down, outside of the exceptional service we have the most cost advantageous policing services of anywhere in the county and likely a multiple county area. So it shouldn't fall on deaf ears of our taxpayers of the fiscal responsibility. We continue to align with, based upon our services with the sheriff, and honestly, the transparency / reporting accountability under its current leadership far exceeds that of the predecessor. So.
And we're getting it now. We've been paying the 2022 price until to now because they were in union negotiations. So those have completed. The only thing that has changed in the contract is just the cost.
Excellent. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
And that's the end of the administrator's report.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. That takes us over to the Fire Department. Chief?
Okay, thank you. Item number 1 is a resolution by Plain Township Board of Trustees to authorize payment to Gatchel Grant Services for $4,412.
So moved.
Second, discussion?
And just to clarify, we will get back all but 5% of that from the FEMA money. So that, we have to pay for it and then get reimbursed for our
Again.
smoke detector grant.
Nice.
Small cost to bring in financial resources
Yes.
that are outside of levy
Yeah,
dollars. So
About $152,000 worth of equipment, so we'll get, so.
Excellent. Thank you, Chief. Roll call?
Mr. Hawes?
yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
And item number 2 is a, I got this thing out of order here or something. All right. Number 2's mixed around with some other papers in there. So item number 2 is a resolution by Plain Township Board of Trustees to accept the resignation of Eli Vossi as a part-time EMT.
So moved.
Second, discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
And item number 3 is a resolution by Plain Township Board of Trustees to grant the request for tuition reimbursement to Paige Skogolski for Akron General Paramedic Program not to exceed $4,500.
So moved.
Second, discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
All right. Number 4 is a resolution by Plain Township Board of Trustees to authorize purchase and payment of gasoline, oil, and diesel fuel from McIntosh Oil not to exceed $15,000.
So moved.
Second, discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Item number 5 is a resolution by Plain Township Board of Trustees to change the pay rate of Elizabeth Robinson and John Jufrey from $17.75 to $18.25 as they've completed their 1-year probationary period.
So moved.
Second, discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
And then item number 6 is a resolution by Plain Township trustees to accept the resignation of Joe Snyder effective July 31st from actually a combination of Parks, Fire, and Admin departments.
Where is that at?
It's a hard copy.
It's the handwritten one, or not handwritten, but the paper copy.
The transfer funds?
Also, no,
it's
there's
like-
200 that were under our,
I did not get that.
right there.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And there's his letter too. Right.
Okay.
Also moved.
Second, discussion?
I think just to again clarify, because I stopped up over lunch for Joe, made comments on behalf of the board. I know you were traveling for work. Joe's been an exceptional employee to the township, and it's sort of it's bittersweet in that he's going to get to enjoy, retirement, some quality of life. But man, you want to talk about one of the most friendly faces, in the staff, even, out and about in less than desirable circumstances, just exceptional. And I think, Chuck, you really nailed it at lunch, really, with your comments. And if you don't mind sharing just the example of how good of an individual he is, I think it was your daughter with.
Oh, yeah, we were just saying that, Joe was obviously a volunteer for us back in the 80s, early 90s. And then he worked for Parks as, kind of a maintenance and then he worked for admin. He cleaned at the fire station too sometimes. So it kind of been different departments, but, Joe's just one of those people that would always go out of his way. My daughter played golf for Glen Oak, and he was a custodian at Glen Oak for years. And he actually came in early to unlock a place that girls could all lock up their clubs, because when you have, it's just like an instrument. You have this big bag of something you're carrying around, and you have to put it, somewhere, not worrying if it's going to be there when you get back. And he opened up an area there for all the girls to put all their clubs in, during golf season. And just he donated time for a charity motorcycle ride for the Burn Center, and he stayed active with the Stark County firefighters, even though he had long been retired from being a volunteer. So just a good all-around person, willing to help out, for, different things throughout the township.
I've never seen him not have a smile on his face. I mean, 48 years of service with us. That's just phenomenal. He will be greatly missed. Is there any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes. All right, that completes fire, and we have nothing under the road department, so that will take us to the zoning department. Mr. Tom.
Thank you, ma'am. Item number 1 is a resolution to declare items A through C as nuisance abatement.
So moved.
Second, discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
That's all from,
Well, thank you. That was short and sweet. That takes us over to the Parks Department. Mr.
Thanks.
Steinberg.
Item number 1 is a resolution to approve the attached entertainers booking contract for the shootouts on the 3rd and 17th of August.
So moved.
Second, discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 2 is a resolution to approve payment to Soul Hair Estate for professional fees for the Diamond Park Barn project.
So moved.
Second, discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes. And that concludes our Parks Department. There is nothing under the Law Director or Communications. This takes us to the portion of the meeting where we have public speaks. Is there anyone in the audience that would wish to address the board at this time? Please state your name and address, and you can speak at your seat, or you can come up to the microphone. Yes, sir.
You can stay there if you want, or if you want to come all the way up, you're welcome to.
Well, I got some pictures I wanted to
Okay.
give you guys.
And just state your name and address for the record, please.
Nick Abramson, 4229 Bellwood Drive, Northwest.
And I printed off all those pictures, so those are them, they have hard
Well,
copies, but if you have more.
I went to Walmart and got you guys some
Aw.
good glossy color ones.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot
Can I-
better than what our paper version.
Can I approach the bench?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, gee.
Sure.
So the reason why I came here today is I'm part of Ridgedale Homeowners Association. A lot of people don't know where that's at until I say I'm close to Avondale, and then everybody knows where that's at. So there's a park, what we call a park. You can see that there's like a rusty basketball hoop, and then there's little to no drainage. So there's like a lot of water that collects in mosquitoes and stuff like that. The issue that I have is our homeowners association is very old, and we don't customarily meet or have any neighborhood discussions on what's going on. And we've been paying our dues, which is very minimal compared to other homeowners associations, but all of our money goes towards mowing that parcel. And it's really not benefiting. It's community property that we're really not benefiting from. And then looking at the auditor's website, according to their records, it really doesn't even belong to us. It belongs to the county. And I've been in discussion with Ms. Campbell here, and then also with the county. They said they'd get back to me. So I'm not here to just address an issue. I'm trying to see if we can come up with a solution. And we'd like to, the neighborhood is a lot of older folks that walk. They just walk in that area. If the fire departments are a lot. Your ambulances are constantly pulling people out of there. But there's some kids now, and we're wanting to utilize that space, those parcels. And I didn't know if there could be some efforts to collaboratively work. Maybe the township could work with the county in establishing something, and maybe with our homeowners association, that we could potentially use that space for the betterment of the township and our homeowners association. Well, that's kind of where I'm wanting to go with that.
Well, good points. I actually escalated with the auditor, the treasurer, and the county administrator last week to see what they knew, just because I thought at first, I'm like, is there a slim chance these may be parcels that the county land bank got, even though it was a slim chance? So probably about 5:15 or so before I headed up here, I had a call from Rick Flory, who's with the county. Essentially, as he told me, the commissioners didn't realize they owned it but it's understandable given the context in
Yeah.
which he offered. And he goes, in 1951, that property was transferred by a plat, and it references something forever as a park. So they are doing some digging, and I asked him, I said, Rick, what do you need me to find out from Mr. Abramson tonight? I said, from the exchanges via email that we have seen and so forth, I said, it appears there's a handshake agreement at some point in the past, and to your point, the older, makeup of folks that reside over. So I said, I'm assuming there's a disconnect on historical knowledge of what was agreed to, what may not have been agreed to, what somebody just took into their own control. I said, I know JP was taking a look at the immediate drainage right along the street, because technically we can't, given right now, even though it's county owned, it's still private property, so legally we can't do anything on it for enhancements. As Lisa's noted, we got the health department, for standing water, we can do that. The ditches for, making sure that that's taken care of. I guess where I'm going at right now, beyond that, there's probably not a lot that we can do until, the county says, hey, here's what we can look at doing. And literally, having talked with Rick Flory prior to coming up here, he said they were going to explore what would need to be done. He said, for the record, hey, just let him know we're looking into it, but just literally through spitballing potential ideas, not that any of them have been able to be fleshed out. So for media purposes, there's nothing that's been committed to. This is just brainstorming only. The county could potentially look at those parcels and say, hey, they could potentially vacate them, which at that point, if they go to vacate them, then I'm assuming, one, the township would likely get first offer on that based upon how other real estate transactions, when parcels come up, whether it's through the land bank or something like this, then that would have to come before the board and we'd have to go yay or nay. I'm going to tell you, historically, we've had a lot of separate individual parcels that have been offered up in the past. We haven't taken them for different reasons, just because of the sake of like ongoing maintenance. Even in trying to, look at, over in the Avondale, Ridgedale area, historically, one of the longer term arguments is, well, Plain, you have all the, you have these parks, but there's nothing over here that's a Plain Township Park. And, we look at it historically as a board, whether it's current board makeup or past board makeups. It's not that our name has to be on everything, but I know over 38th Arboretum Park, there's some green space there. So, if we weren't to do something with it, then the county could potentially look at abutting property owners to see if there's any interest in acquiring it, consolidating parcels. But again, these were just some quick spitballed decisions on the immediate, outside of the health department involvement and road, just making sure stuff's draining properly.
They did put a work order in for the catch basin.
Yeah.
And
They did it
the
today.
ditch.
Yeah, it's
And
already-
they want to do it today.
So I guess what I would tell you, it's not going to be an overnight immediate answer. I think what I would encourage is certainly continue to keep engaged through Lisa on where things are. I can certainly go back to Rick and just say, hey, here's the extent of our conversation that we had tonight. I don't know, would it be safe if you had like top uses for this? Would it be to, one, preserve it as green space for recreational purposes, two, be able to see the parcels taken over by, adjoining property owners? I don't know if there's anything you guys may be looking at that
You could.
I can go back.
You could go to a commissioners meeting, they're open to the public on Wednesdays at 1:30 downtown
Yeah.
in the commissioners building, and bring it up to them.
Yeah.
I mean, just
Well,
put a face.
they've put it in Rick's hands
Yeah.
already as well.
But just to kind of keep it,
Yeah.
to keep it moving along till they don't forget and it's not put on the back
Yeah.
burner, and that they continue to see it as upfront.
Yeah. Does Ridgedale, do they want to see it as parks? Is that what the?
You know, I can't speak for everybody in Ridgedale, but
Okay.
my neighbors, I never get up this way to Plain Township. I'm in the southwest
side.
corner, and we kind of stay there.
Yeah.
And there's all these little homeowners associations down in that corner. You have Avencrest, Ridgedale, of course, luxurious Avondale, and I'm not sure if Shrine Village is within Plain or not. That might be Canton.
It is.
Is that in Plain? So we have all these homeowners associations, and the makeup demographically is older folks. A lot of these houses were built in the 40s and 50s, and they have the original homeowners still there. When we bought the house, I was actually stationed in Texas, and my wife lied to me. She said, we moved to Avondale. I was like, oh, this is awesome, but we didn't. We live like right next to it. We live right next to it. We both went to Glen Oak High School. We graduated in 2001, so she lies to me a lot.
This is the best meeting ever.
Well, so I came home, and then, so we have all these little, but what we liked about this neighborhood is that it doesn't matter which homeowner association you reside in. We all walk. We all walk everywhere. We walk through. It's a great place to walk. And the kids now we got like another generation of kids. I have small kids. So now, as a dad, my issues now are no longer about like things that I like motorcycles. It's now, well, where's a safe place for my kids to play? So we're looking at this as, it's already there, it's kind of established, and now the community's growing with kids, and the elderly people are walking. It would be nice for them to have a picnic or to stop and see the kids and stuff like that. It's useful space. I think there's a drainage issue. I'm not an engineer,
Yeah,
but
it's a low line.
It's actually where it lies.
But I think it could be fixed.
And that was one of the things Rick and I were talking about. It's where most of the stuff drains
Yeah.
over there. So that's where, we can even take a look through ideas with stark soil and water. Because part of it may be, hey, you're better off with given how this drains. Part of it's water feature, and then what is elevated enough. It may be a smaller recreational area or something, but.
Yeah, there's a basketball hoop there, and I would replace it, but I don't know if I'm lawfully allowed to start removing property and then putting up
I would
property if
tell you
there's
right now that
liability.
it's commissioner's own. Absolutely, I can't speak. For commissioners.
I'm not asking for legal advice.
I wouldn't want to see you in that liability.
No,
like you're
yeah,
trying to do
and
with
that's
the best
where
of
I'm
intent.
at. Is I would love to just go over there as a homeowner in the association, which we've been led to believe, and I know I'm running out of time,
No,
but
you're
we've been led to believe that was our property because we're paying a service to mow it, which probably we shouldn't be doing, but we're doing it. And it's probably because, like Ms. Campbell had stated, such long time ago, there was probably an agreement, and it keeps the mosquitoes down, and we keep the bugs.
Because if we do it, it's going to fall under the traditional nuisance. It's got to get 8 inches or taller on 50% or more of the property.
Yeah, none of the
we're gonna
neighbors
know it,
want that.
and nobody's going to want.
Yeah, so
nobody's going to want that. So.
Well, stay in touch with me.
Yeah.
Hopefully you hear from Rick Flory. Now Scott's made contact. I can always call him too, but we'll give him some time. But we can,
Yeah.
if we stay in touch, then we can.
Sure.
Yeah, I think for
Figure it
the
out,
sake of so
hopefully.
you don't have to chase all over. We can keep a tight knit loop. That way.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing this. You're doing that. Oh, I got to attend another meeting, and I got to work.
I made sure I followed my chain of command. I notified my trustees first before I went
Yeah.
above that.
We'll certainly
He's
see
the
it. We'll
best.
certainly see it through. So, literally, if you want to keep it, between us right now for ease,
Right.
and if for some reason you're going, okay, this is either being slow played by the board, which I can promise you won't be the case.
But we're at the conclusion of summer, unfortunately. I mean, as soon as Hall of Fame hits, then it's back to, everybody's going back to school. So this might be an issue that we could address.
That gives us time to address it and figure it
Yeah,
out.
maybe by next summer, we could have a plan.
That sounds
I
fine.
hope so.
This is just literally a spit. This is literally just a spitball idea, but because I know when you emailed stuff, you had noted the association as a non-profit entity in which you
Yeah.
had an ID. one of the things that you may, and this could be a stretch, reach out to Scott Olslager or Kirk Schuring, because the state has what they call a capital budget process. Every 2 years, they appropriate money for different types of projects. And in some instances, it's, hey, you have to spend it, and then it's reimbursed. Others, they do front the money, but depends on the bucket that they pull through. This could even potentially be something where, after a conversation with commissioners, they go, hey, we're willing to divest of the property.
Yeah.
You're sitting here going, well, hey, we're willing to submit a request to, or through Scott Olslager or Kirk Schuring or
Jim Thomas.
Jim Thomas.
Those are our representatives for this area.
I can email you their emails.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's somewhat of a stretch, but it's one of those where you could go, hey, we're looking for 50,000, because the commissioners may say, hey, for the sake of maintaining it, we'll sell it for X. And then, you don't want to just put, I'm going to say, cheaper, rickety, Walmart, Target playgrounds. You would want some in a more of a commercial grade, and I promise you that stuff's not cheap. None of it's cheap, but
Yeah.
you could put in some type of request there, because you're going to go, looking at budgetary dynamics, like, we can't afford $50,000 or $100,000 for buying this and creating some playground type stuff. Then again, it may be just, hey, we want to get it. We're going to put some picnic tables over there and maintain it as green space. It's legitimately your. But again, just brainstorming.
At
And
least it's a
they're
start.
advocates for parks, so
What's that?
they're advocates
Okay.
for that, so that's
That's
a
good.
suggestion that Scott made.
Good.
So
Okay.
we'll keep.
Yeah, we'll keep
let's
you in touch.
moving
We'll
then.
stay
Appreciate
in
it.
touch.
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Be safe.
Yep.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the board at this time?
The Honorable Judge
Hi.
Kurt Weirin is here.
Judge Kurt Warren, that's correct. Thank you, Scott. I am just out, wanted to say hello. I am judge of the Canton Municipal Court, which is also the municipal court for Ridgedale, Avondale, and Plain Township. Takes me back to my old days of practicing law and about 1,000 ideas, none of which may fly, but I wouldn't like them anyhow. But I just want to say hello. I'm trying to get out and say hello, obviously, from the court. Want to make sure we're doing a good job for you, for your deputies, and everyone else in the township that we both serve together. So just my chance to get out, see how everyone's doing, watch your meetings, watch what's fun and happening, and applaud you on all that's going on next door. It's,
Well, thank you. We appreciate you taking the time to come talk to us.
Can we get him to swear under oath that if the Plain Township meetings are more interesting than the City of North Canton Council meetings?
I'm not allowed.
I know.
He's going to plead the fifth.
He might be in the doghouse if he does that with against his wife.
Robert's here, actually.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to go to North Canton. But I do wait for things to come home and like, what happened? What happened? Something exciting. It's kind of like courts. People are like, what happened today?
Yeah.
Someone got in trouble. But
No, we
It's all good.
appreciate all
Just-
that you do for us.
nice to get out and say hello. We don't do it enough formally. We see each other informally. But
Honestly,
wanna
through
say
the
hello.
courts, outside of what we pay in our invoice for our share
For the
of
prosecutors,
expenses and so forth, I can't say we've ever, even in my almost 14 years, anything systematically where it's like, oh, this is broken, this is
No.
horrible. Like,
Oh, no, they do a
it's
great job.
literally been a smooth operating,
Yeah.
especially given the context of cases that you see coming through there and so forth. But appreciate your service likewise.
yes. And we all work together to try and keep all sides of it safe as much as we can, see where things are moving, and get ahead of problems. Nice to see you all.
Thank you for taking the time to come
Thanks,
see us
Judge.
tonight. Is there anyone else? Boy Scout, perhaps?
Scouts. So what badge or what are we working towards here? This.
Working towards citizenship in the community.
So I noticed at least your eyes are still open, so the local government meeting hasn't been too horribly boring yet. But any questions about what you've seen, or what you've witnessed here this evening? I think one of the things I just call out. A lot of times you'll hear, whether it's just Brooke and I tonight because John's out, any combination of us, you can hear motion, second, or quick, and it's like, man, they plow through a lot of business. I come here, I was expecting maybe a little more discussion. The reality is, most meetings we're coming prepared into. sometimes the discussion that we have is organic because we haven't been able to talk about some things. But the reality is, I know when I ask certain questions, it's somewhat rhetorical in nature because I already know what the answer is going to be. But we also want to make sure, for the public's sake, that we're, it's being thought through. And there's certainly points where it's like, ooh, I never thought you'd have to consider this or that in these scenarios. So it's more of a procedural need. But I would tell you, if you wanted to see a hot, spicy meeting, you'd have to come when zoning's got something contentious on. Then the hall's packed, and so forth. Otherwise, for local government, what we're responsible for, your first responders, fire, police, EMS, roads, so paving, plowing, drainage, parks, so the programming and outreach, zoning, so essentially how properties are used, permitted uses, setbacks of, outbuildings to, you have some less than desirable neighbors where it's high grass, broken down cars. We're the ones where, if your neighbor doesn't want to work with you, we will certainly come in and tell them what they've got to do to become compliant. So I think one thing, if you got to see enough meetings, not that I want to torture you with that, but one of the beautiful things about local government, I'm sure you see the news, and what you see at the state and the federal level, in my opinion only, is completely different than what you get at the local level, because there's a lot of folks that they're only going to vote if you're an R or a D or an I, or whatever other letters of parties you want. It really, to some, it absolutely matters no matter what. I'm going to sit here and tell you, if you're focused on the service deliverables that we're responsible for, it should have absolutely zero impact. And most communities, I'd say 80-85% of the people are in it for the right reasons. There's 10 to 15% of elected officials out there that are in it for a quick paycheck or benefits. That's it. But given Plain Township size, we're fortunate. Between board staffing, dynamics, and everything, we're a relatively affluent community. So some of the things we're dealing with here tonight, you wouldn't see if you went out to Bethlehem Township or Paris Township or Lexington Township, because they're significantly smaller. They don't have the budgets and stuff. But the reason they don't have the budgets is the citizens in those communities have said, nah, we don't want that type of service or services. And, ultimately, it's not a board, whether it's John, Brooke, and I, we don't impose taxes on the public. Our board responsibility is strictly to bring the business case before the public and go, our department heads have said, hey, we need this for our EMS, we need this for road. We go with, looking at that data and that information to arrive at, I think these are reasonable ask. And then we present it to the public, and hey, hopefully most cases we get the affirmative yes vote, which gives us the resources to provide those deliverables. Other times, we're told no, which means we got to go back to do our homework and figure out what we can do, if it's a lesser ask, or if we just flat out have to make some reductions and so forth. So it's not the level of craziness and lunacy that you see at the state and federal level. It really is good. So hopefully your experience was here tonight was a good one. And I know, as a former scout, see your whole way through it, because I've got my 4th year pipestone, and I was made it to the rank of, it's star then life, right, Tom? Star is for
Started in life.
Yeah, I made it star. I always forget. And it was the fumes that got me, the gas fumes and the perfume. I got old enough to drive, and I got interested in girls. So we used to joke that it was the fumes that got you. And I never got my Eagle Scout, and I've got a couple of friends who do. It sets you up for great success long term, because a lot of the fundamental beliefs and practices and knowledge you'll gain is applicable in so many areas of life, whether you see it right now or not. So thanks for being out here and just see it through all the way to the end.
If there's anything you need us to sign, please see us after the meeting. We'll sign it for you, that you were here. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board at this time? Seeing none, I'd like to move this on to concerns of trustees. Mr. Hawes?
I'm sorry, I was, my updates. Sorry, had commented to Lisa and I didn't hear all what you had said. Telephone pole signage, guys, I don't know what we've got to do. I know I harp on this constantly, but these things are like rabbits, the rates at which they multiply. And out here at the intersections, I get some of them are difficult to get off, but like, can we pepper these people with can we look at some type of
We charge them?
fine? Because the utility company says they're not permitted on the poles, which we can't enforce the utility company's rules. However, any other signage that's within the right of way certainly has to meet certain criteria for us.
The issue
So
for us has
tacky.
been our inability to regulate utilities. So they own the pole. And so that's been the issue. We can't take stuff off their pole or enforce rules on their pole. So that's why we came up with like the letter system that seemed to be working for a little while. But
A short time it did.
yeah.
Need to continue it?
Is there any way within the utilities companies, somebody we can talk to that if we were authorized and given their permission to remove? Because I know Perry Township did it, and I know it's a constant race, but it ultimately slowed it down significantly. It just makes the area
Perry
look like.
Township take them off the pole?
Oh, absolutely.
Who gave them permission? Because
We
we
would
talk
have-
to utilities,
we-
they're like, don't touch our poles.
Yeah, I've moved up
I
in
can-
the utilities, making the phone calls, and they didn't want us to touch their poles.
Well,
So
And I
they're
said,
fine.
is there any kind of authorization we could get?
but
And it was
guys,
a no.
I'm hearing this, and it's not that I'm not hearing it. There's always a solution somewhere, somehow. That's what I want to get to find, because it looks like garbage.
It looks
around
tacky.
these areas. And
We could try resending the letters again.
I don't see how they would want stuff on their poles, because couldn't that hinder their poles too?
even though they're being placed on somebody else's, poles, if it's not permitted signage, we have signage requirements where they have to apply for temporary signage permits and so forth. Is there not a fee structure that we can go after them?
Can we contact our AEP?
We document,
person?
hey, here's the
I've done that, yeah.
here's the location, and I know we take it down and hey, it'll be back up maybe in a week or a month or something. I'm just tired of seeing them when
I'll take another
folks
look
choose
at it.
not to do business the right way is what it comes down.
Yep, I'll take another look at it.
Maybe
if I
look
can
and
come
see
up
if other townships have dealt with this, or cities.
Well,
and
if
what
they've done it, they've either done it with permission or without permission. So, I mean, I
Yeah.
know they've done it, but it's
Yeah, and it's been because it's probably been a little over a year
yeah.
on the Perry one since I
Yeah.
know because there was an article. I'm pretty sure there
Yeah,
was
it
an
was in the
article or
paper.
something
Yeah, there was.
on it.
I'll take another look.
All right. And then just as a reminder for not next week, but August the 9th, the 4:30 is going to be the ribbon cutting for the Monarch Meadows project. So there will be final official details that'll go out in a press release once I'm done working with the folks at Western Reserve, but just make sure Wednesday, August 9th.
Is it 4:30 or 5:30?
It's 4:30 is the ribbon cutting because we're going to have Stark Community Foundation, Muskingum Watershed Conservancy Partners and Watershed Management there. Once the ribbon cutting's done, some of the folks will go on, and then at 5:30 we have the dinner event with the Southern Region for Western Reserve Conservancy Land District. So that's all I had.
Okay. Any concerns of the fiscal officer?
No concerns.
Okay, this will take us to approval of the minutes. I will make the motion to approve the minutes from July 11th.
I'll second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes,
Abstain. I wasn't present.
Mrs. Harless.
Yes.
We'll have to put them up again.
Put them on next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was just-
And we have no need for executive session, so I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 6:44.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Harless.
Yes.
Mr. Sabo? Oh, Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
I'll call.